Trent.
You know what?
I love that.
He's on.
I know he is. Man, that's an interesting setup. This special meeting of the Muhammad Seymour Board of Education is called to order. It is 6:30 p.m. Wednesday, April 10th. At this time, I'd like to remind everyone to please sign in and silence their cell phones. I would also like to remind our visitors that in order to facilitate an effective meeting, we ask that those who wish to make comments to the board read the visitor guidelines found on the table right outside the door and complete the attached public participation form and bring those to Jennifer. Roll call.
Giles.
Here.
Rayford.
Here.
Hendricks.
Here.
Casson.
Here.
Larson.
Here.
Park.
Here.
Hall.
Please stand for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
I don't want to approve the agenda. I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda, but we need to take out items 6, 7, 8, and 9 tonight.
Second that motion.
Discussions? Okay. No discussions? Is this just a voice? All those in favor? Okay. Roll call.
Larson.
Yes.
Hendricks.
Yes.
Giles.
Yes.
Park.
Yes?
Rayford.
Yes.
Casson.
Yes.
McCall.
All right, are there any more public participation forms? Nope. Okay. All right, so I think that's it, right?
Yeah, well, I'd like to, or do we want to, if it's okay with the board, just kind of explain some information about the motion that just took place to table the items that are on the agenda this evening. I had the opportunity yesterday to attend a legal seminar that was provided by, happens to be our law firm, Miller, Tracy, Funk, Braun, and Miller. Our district's been engaged with them for many years, as have a lot of local school districts. One of their specialties is school law. And a variety of topics were addressed at the seminar, and one of the topics that was addressed was bidding. And so through the presentation yesterday that was made by David Braun, which is one of the attorneys with the law firm, I came across or learned about some information. I guess I would characterize it as maybe a less clear and maybe more obscure part of the bidding law in Illinois, and I did send the board earlier today a summary of that, whereby in order to purchase through cooperatives, those cooperatives have to be authorized by the state in order for school districts to purchase from them. And as we've had in discussions here over the last couple of months, the plan was, and tonight the plan was to purchase the floor and the field house curtain from Sourcewell, which is a purchasing cooperative. And after doing some further investigation and a lot of conversation starting yesterday afternoon, Trent and I, but also consulting, after hearing what Mr. Braun said yesterday, and then consulting with the attorney we mostly communicate with, Jeff Funk, and also talking with Dr. Michael Jacoby, who's the executive director of the Illinois Association of School Business Officials. It is my recommendation that we not purchase the floor and the curtain through the bidding cooperative, but that the school district go out and on our own and bid for those. The bidding law in Illinois does require that public entities bid items that are individually over $25,000. There's a number of exceptions to the bidding law, and one of those exceptions would be the ability to purchase from a cooperative if the cooperative were an authorized purchasing agent through the State Board of Education. But that there currently are none of those kinds of cooperatives. So in light of receiving that information yesterday, I did have the opportunity to communicate with all of you today. It's a very difficult decision. We talked through Trent and I talked through a number of different options today. We do feel that the best option is to just delay this project and do it, take care of it next summer. Going out for bid probably very late 2019, early 2020. That would give us the opportunity to kind of get ahead of the game there. But the problem with proceeding ahead in any way now is the delay that it would cause with completing the work at the field house, which would make it unavailable to the high school for the first probably couple of months of the school year. And it's really a very essential part of the operations at the high school. So in talking with the high school administration this afternoon, it's a very difficult decision not to proceed ahead with this work. We've talked repeatedly about the fact that it needs to be done. We'll pursue perhaps some, if we can, some temporary fixes to get us through the year. But just in light of this information, I don't in any way want to put the district in a tenuous position in terms of the bidding, and it is the advice of our legal counsel not to approve or not to move ahead with purchasing through the cooperative. So I think, again, my recommendation is that we push it off, get it done next summer. The other thing, I mean, we discussed the idea of turning the bids on the floor and the curtain around in the next couple of weeks. Again, we could probably do that. It just pushes this too far into September. So, Trent, I don't know if you have any further input and comment on that.
With steps moving forward, BLD's been involved from the start with the design and some of the discussions with the installers of both the curtains and the floor. So that's to say, obviously Damien's well versed in terms of the design and the scope of the project. We incurred some costs with that, but we will eventually incur those anyway when we do bid that next summer. So there's not really any sunk cost there, so to speak, or lost efficiencies. I suppose this was, I guess, a good, in talking with Kevin Hyde, who is otherwise going to be here tonight to present the bid rates for the death certificates. It was kind of a good exercise to know, I guess, who was interested in those bonds locally. He did shop those up, or those death certificates locally. He shopped those out locally and received responses from 6 local banks, which he was very pleased with. Had a low rate, 2.38% was the lowest that he would have otherwise been coming to explain tonight. He attributed that to the strong financial position for the school district, incredible bond credit rating, and in calling him, I said we'll just hold out for now, and we'll still be in that financial position when we come around here about 6 months when we look at it. So, that's the information.
Lindsay, can you explain why the architect was recommending that we use source
So
code?
I think it's important, that's a great question. I think it's important to recognize that there are schools who utilize this purchasing arrangement, and that's a separate decision from this board's decisions, and that's up to individual school districts, but it is done. But I guess so that explains that, the recommendation was not something that was unique or unusual or something that hasn't happened and maybe probably will continue to happen. I just feel strongly after learning what I learned yesterday and consulting with people I consider experts that it's not the route that we should take. And I understand that there'll be mixed reaction to that. Some people might be happy. I think we made it pretty clear out in the public that we were going to do this work, and I feel terrible that this decision is what we're doing literally at the 11th hour. but
Especially since it's a safety issue too. It's more than just
It
aesthetics.
is, it's
It's a
what
safety issue if you
is
have a
the right
track
decision.
person or both.
Question with that, not to belabor the fine point here, but, and I'm glad you brought this up. It seems like the cooperative may have national authorization, may have state authorization, but what's really needed is IBHE authorization for schools to do that with this group. So
Yeah,
there could be layers of authorization, but this specific one is missing.
yeah.
I think the article of the school
I'm hearing
code,
you right.
yeah, it gives
Yeah.
ISBE the statutory authority to designate a co-op.
And sole authority.
Exactly.
Okay, gotcha.
So it's, the Illinois State Board of Education does have statutory authority to designate a joint purchasing cooperative for school district use. They have not done that, and that's really, can be frankly somewhat of a political issue is what I've learned
Actually, I was
today.
gonna say, do you know, I think it probably is because.
In Illinois, surely not.
They built a high school up north and they closed it after 5 years
So that,
because they lied on us.
it is correct that ISB has the authority to do that, and we're never gonna know the inner workings, but the bottom line is they haven't done that.
So is it fair to say that when we go and bid this out, that most likely those two vendors, the flooring and curtain, are, and maybe, I don't know if this is Trent or Lindsay, but I mean, are they most likely I mean, it seems like they were kind of like the ones that do this, especially like with the floor. I mean, it sounds like they do
Right.
Midwest.
Well, to earn the NJPA, the Sourcewell bid, they would have had to bid as part of that process, and they came out on top. So I would like to think that in a year from now, when we put the bid out, they're going to be pretty aggressive and very competitive with their.
It's gonna be hard for them to give one bid,
Right.
to give it a different bid for the same.
Right.
So is it possible that I suppose it is possible they could come back as individuals, as a company to bid. Is it also possible that the co-op itself could bid?
Yeah, that was
Actually be a competitive bidder?
That's something we can ask.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that question.
Don't know that we need to play the scenario either way, because it wouldn't matter to us, but, if they don't get IBHE approval, I guess they could still play ball.
Oh, sure. As an individual vendor, they certainly could.
Mhm.
Although we kind of know their hand in that we know what their bid.
But even if a co-op could bid too, couldn't it? I
We'll
don't think with a specific
we'll look into that. Yeah.
provider.
I don't know the answer to that.
I think it would just have to be a direct contract.
Right, right.
Does Ari have a question?
Through any of these projects like the painting and the panels, HVAC, are those things we were also gonna outsource that? Or
We went
could
we went through the steps to bid that, given that we're looking at the co-op for the other two solutions for the flooring and curtains. The rest of the project we did formally bid.
So why are we postponing those? Can we do those? And then
Those,
so
I
that
think,
when we do the
in the
flooring
interest-
and the curtain, it
Sure.
won't take as long?
In the interest of efficiencies, I think we're going to do that all the same. I think we're going to, when they paint the ceiling, for example, it'd be easier once old curtains are out and prior to putting new curtains in. It was going to happen all kind of collaboratively with all those contractors.
Might change the bid if they.
Sure.
It's
Oh,
the
yeah.
sequence of
Yeah.
events that.
The scope changes,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, it's a good question.
So then, when you do decide to go out for a rebid, when the board decides that, is BLDD now gonna have to do new bid documents? I mean, is that gonna be another cost?
So that's the point I tried to make, and I don't think I communicated it accurately, but yeah, so the work has basically been done on the architect's side, other than the actual putting the document out to bid for the flooring and for the curtains, and there's a lot of efficiencies that we already have in front of us that we've already, that Damon's already gone through the steps.
So they're not gonna charge.
And we won't get billed twice for it, he did confirm that,
Okay.
That's good.
yeah, naturally, it's.
I don't see the scope of the project changing, so
Yeah, I don't think, yeah.
it's probably just a matter of updating the documents. There's certain steps we have to follow, like publishing it in the paper and that kind of thing.
So with the condition of the field house, another year, is that gonna be detrimental?
The flooring is the big question, I think, at this point, so, the HVAC is not as critical, we can make it work.
In talking with Chad Benedict at high school, there are some interim repairs we probably need to make to the curtains to get through the rest of the year too. Nothing, very real costly, but there are some things we would otherwise be taken care of this summer.
Is there anything that can be done to the floor to make it less dangerous?
Like, I need to find out for sure, but I think there probably are some options that I need to dig into it, so.
It's almost like tires,
It's
that's the way he was
servicing.
explaining it, like, the tread is gone, you know, there's no
Right.
cushion.
Right.
Oh.
I know in discussions with Shane prior to him resigning, there was a certain cleaning product he got from CMI in Champaign that it gave a little bit of extra tack to that floor on a temporary basis. Maybe we just do that, increase frequency in that application throughout the year.
You got a rototiller in the back lot?
Yeah,
Or
it
sander.
is absolutely sleeping.
What would have happened if we had approved this last month, and then you did that seminar and found out that it was not supposed to be done?
I certainly would have explored our options. For sure.
I don't understand why some districts are able to do it and some districts.
Like Lindsay said,
It's not that they're able to do
Article
it.
28A in the school
I was
code,
gonna say.
it's pretty obscure, and I think it became even more cloudy. As per Dr. Jacoby at IASBO, the Rounder administration created some cloud around that, given that they're trying to adjust procurement law, and that's why, according to Dr. Jacoby, ISB had not designated a co-op, because it's all kind of been like up in the air just recently. I remember that conversation, you know, kind of like that added an added layer of complexity to it just in the last few years. And maybe the districts that you're talking about, you know, maybe are unaware of that. I wouldn't be surprised. Another situation either.
I'm sorry, you're gonna read the school code tonight.
I'll read it back and forth.
Yeah. I'll add too, Stiefel and Chapman and Cutler, you know, as a bond consultant and bond attorney, we will not incur any costs from them as part of, you know, for the work done to this point.
It sounds like you've done the community a great service, including the bonding folks and so forth, that may not have known this fine point of the law, so I applaud you.
There's a huge
for-
learning curve in the last 24 hours.
It sounds like-
I'll
sounds
say
like-
that, I mean, I hope certainly, you know, the job that we have is to protect the best interests of the district, and I think that this is the decision that does that. Unfortunately, it delays some work that needs to be done, but we'll strategize and look at some different options for what can be done in the interim, and look forward to doing it next summer. And you know, there's a lot of moving parts that could change in our favor. Interest rates, the scope of the project. So it's out there, and we'll just cross that bridge when we come to it.
Yep. Yeah, work on that, Lori.
All right, anything else? Any other questions to Dr. Rowe? Nope. Okay. Closed session is necessary tonight for the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee as to determine its validity. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Park,
Yes?
Castle,
Yes.
Rayford,
Yes.
Giles,
Yes.
Hendricks,
Yes.
Larson.
Yes.
McCall.
All right.
Brief recess.
Brief recess.
Next.
Will you be doing any business after?
No, there will be no business.